complete stranger has been obsessively stalking our family for 7 years.
She says her husband's image is being used as catfish bait.
50 women have been conned.
The Catfish knew details about our family.
Who would have pictures from the inside of our home?
Could this man hold the answers?
You're not the male voice on the phone calls, right?
I took stepson.
No. Get ready
I think you've been getting played.
for an unexpected twist.
The Catfish is here. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
This is a picture of Alan. He says he is 6'7", rich, successful, a single dad, looking for love with a woman anywhere between the ages of 27 and 50 years old. And these are the women Alan has been communicating with. Our only problem is Alan is married. And so why is he out looking for love? Well, he isn't. His wife Amanda says Alan's image is being used as catfish bait and that these 50 women have all been conned. The deception was uncovered when Amanda received Facebook messages saying you and your family have been used in a scam that's been going on for 2 years. Well, Amanda and Alan weren't too worried at first. That is until the victims sent Amanda and Alan pictures of the exterior and the interior of their home. Take a look.
A complete stranger has been obsessively stalking our family for 7 years. In 2012, I received messages from women stating someone was using my husband's identity, using all of his photos. They were catfishing women on a social media site.
She was looking for love, period. And he gave her that.
The persona that the Catfish created was Alan, who was 6'7", around the same age, very, very wealthy. Looking for single women within 100 miles, ages 27 to 50, for short and long-term dating and new friends.
I didn't think there was anything we could do about it, so we just kind of let it go.
But someone had taken a picture from the driver's seat of a car outside of our home. That's when I realized what we thought was just a catfisher was actually someone that was stalking our family.
He seems to know a lot about you guys.
The Catfish knew intimate details about our family, trips that we had gone on, the surgery that I had earlier this year, that my brother-in-law had been battling cancer. He was pretending to be Alan, pretending that our life was his life. It completely freaked me out.
We spent a crazy amount of time trying to track all the leads, really looking into who's close to me that would know this information, who would have pictures from the inside of our home, who was in our home.
I became paranoid. One of our fears was what this person would do once they found out we were onto them.
So who was this guy? Who had stolen Alan's identity? Well, Amanda and Alan were determined to catch the catfish because they were really worried. We're talking about pictures of the inside of their house. So they hired a private investigator. And that's when this story took a bizarre turn, as though it hadn't already. Take a look.
We wanted to hire a private investigator to track this person down. The investigator thought it must be someone we know based on the information that was being sent, but we were all shocked to find out who it was.
The person behind this was actually not a creepy man at all. It was a 24-year-old female who had started this when she was in high school. Sarah was catfishing women on Facebook. We learned that she had actually been using Alan's photos since 2011. She had been arrested in 2012 for impersonating a public officer.
Sarah was not trying to get money or anything from these women, but Sarah would offer these women, one of them a new wedding dress and one a new car.
She would make arrangements to meet these women, and then when the time came, There was always a family emergency. One of the ladies that I spoke to said that he had invited her to a concert. Then we learned just this year that Sarah went to a concert that we were also at. And she was probably around 30 feet from where we were sitting.
I didn't know Sarah, but at some point on Facebook I had become friends with her. At that point I discovered we had 99 mutual friends together. So I called my brother and asked how he knew her. He didn't know her, but he had told me that a couple weeks prior she had been over at their house looking at a vehicle that they were selling. I thought it was really creepy.
One of my girlfriends had received 2 messages from her, and she was looking for a job. It seems like Sarah wants to infiltrate our family.
Well, it's good to meet the two of you, the real two of you.
Yeah.
Now, at first you didn't really freak out over this when you first found out somebody had hijacked your pictures, right?
Not at first. Those messages that were sent in 2012, I actually didn't read those for probably a year and a half.
Right.
They were in a spam folder on Facebook.
Okay.
So when I read them, I didn't think too much of it because they weren't using his name. There were just some pictures that had been stolen, and we hadn't heard anything about the police investigation.
Right. And what happened? What was the point where the two of you said, okay, now wait a minute. This has gone beyond just a game. Something's serious here. Somebody could really be a threat. Something could be wrong here.
Yeah. In September, I had 2 women reach out to me, again on Facebook. The second lady was a friend of the lady that had been in the relationship for 7 months. And she said he has sent her pictures that are nowhere to be found online. And when she sent those to me, that's when I knew this was way scarier than we had imagined.
Okay. But why did you think it was somebody you knew?
Well, some of the pictures obviously pictures from inside our home, but also a picture from outside of our home, taken from the driver's seat of a car, was a little nerve-wracking. And some of the details that they knew about, that the women relayed to Amanda, just about our family, our daughters.
Okay, so it's one thing to be in virtual reality, but now somebody's at your curb.
Right.
Somebody has gone into the real world and they're at the curb of your house. That's stalking now, right?
Yeah.
So somebody's there and that's a threat.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do at that point? What did you feel, first off, when you realized somebody's sitting at our curb taking pictures of our house?
I was scared. We have 2 young children, and I started becoming paranoid because the information that these women were giving me, I knew that if this person did not know us personally, they had aligned themselves with somebody who did, because there's no way that they could have gotten some of the information they had about our family just from being on social media.
You know, when we talk about interior pictures inside your house, we're talking about really pictures from inside your home, and somehow this person got these pictures and they're referencing them as though it's their house, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of hijacking your life, hijacking your identity. And did you wonder about the people that they were engaging, pretending to be you?
Not until I got on the account on the dating site and noticed that there were over 50 conversations going on with different women. Then I was like, well, she's sending my pictures, or pictures of me and my daughters all over the freaking country to randoms all over the world, and that was alarming.
Yeah, and people, you know, this isn't just a game to the victims. People actually form relationships and they make emotional investments, and their lives get involved where they fall in love. And this is the communications with some of the women on dating sites. And I mean, you can just look at these. There are dozens of these where she's engaging with these people as you.
Yep.
And some of these women, they fall in love. They stop their life. They start putting all their emotional investment into that relationship. And you say the Catfish knew your mother-in-law's career?
Yes.
So, I mean, there's an investment going on there. They're digging and getting information to really authenticate who they say they are. So you guys get a private investigator, which is expensive, right? You have to find somebody to go do this. Track this person down, and then you find out that not only has there been pictures taken from the curb, but she says she's actually engaged with, met, interacted with a member of your family.
Yes.
So this gets more intrusive. What do you think about that?
It's disgusting. One of my fears was what was going to happen when this person found out that we knew who it was. Were they going to retaliate against our family? Were they going to show up at our children's school? You have, as a mom, you have every thought in the world that goes through your head and what we needed to do to protect our family.
Well, there was actually an apology email from Sarah to you, right?
Correct.
And here's what it said. I hurt you and your family, and I didn't even realize what I was doing. Why did I choose you and your family? Well, that's easy. You're successful. You seem like a family man, kind. It made me feel good to know I can live an imaginary life and not have to think of my own. I had a rough life growing up. I'm the only person involved. I used a deeper voice on the phone. I never meant to scare you. What was your reaction to that?
I thought it was all just a bold-faced lie. I think the only reason she's sorry is because we took the time to find her and she got caught. I mean, other than that, she'd still be doing this based on the dating site that she's on and the women she was conversing there.
Well, and you don't know that she's not.
I have no idea that she's
still doing it, right?
Yeah.
What you know is what you know. Well, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Well, she gave us her phone during that meeting, and there were 2 other dating site apps on the front of her phone. So all of the women that had reached out to me were from one app, but we don't know what she was doing on other sites.
So there were 2 other sites.
Right.
There could be 50 on each of them.
Right, and those 50 open conversations were just within the last 10 months. So we don't know what happened, because what was happening is she changed her handle. So every time we tried to get it shut down, then she would just change the numbers at the end. So she would use his initials and both of our daughters' initials as her handle and then change the numbers.
Well, when we come back, up until 3 weeks ago, Amanda and Alan thought the catfish was a man. Well, it turns out he is a she, a 24-year-old woman. Now, next, we're going to meet her boyfriend to see if he knew about this con. Now, there was a male voice talking to the women. Was he involved? Well, we're going to ask him. We'll be right back. She actually drove you by Amanda and Alan's home.
We drove by the house. We didn't stop.
When did you discover what was going on? And later, she told you stories from people that she catfished as though they were her own stories.
I remember her telling some elaborate stories.
Do you think she has stopped doing this?
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
She lost physical custody to a man her daughter had never met.
When my daughter was 3, I found out I was a father.
Brett has crossed state lines to meet his daughter for the first time.
I went to Florida because of you, California because of you. That's the only 2 times I've seen the ocean. Thanks.
The therapist recommended all parties stop videotaping.
You know that therapist was terminated.
The therapist didn't make those recordings, you did.
That's Monday. Then on Wednesday, she's an actress, but her real drama
My mom has always been a hoarder.
Oh, God. I'm stepping in animal feces.
is off screen.
The dogs and I live in this bed.
This is unsanitary for dogs. As a child, there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep.
Yeah.
That's her perspective.
There aren't versions of the truth. There's either a sanitary room or there's not.
All new Dr. Phil. That's Wednesday.
Sarah has apologized to me for using my identity, but she's a compulsive liar. Sarah's addicted to the game that she's playing and the conversations that she's having with these women on whether she can hook them in or not. I don't think she knows how to quit.
Well, Amanda and Alan received several messages from at least 10 women they've never met, claiming that Alan is being used as catfish bait online in a relationship con. Now, they hired a private investigator to help find out who was behind this. And it turns out the catfish is not a man at all. It's a 24-year-old woman named Sarah. Now, Amanda believes that Sarah is addicted to catfishing because she's been doing this not for the summer, not for a few months, but for years. Yet her boyfriend Ken says he had no idea she was living this secret life.
Sarah is beautiful. She has the charisma. It would never occur to me that she would be a catfish. Sarah and I met 4 years ago. The only thing that was suspicious about Sarah was that she was a very private person. I've only been inside her own place one time. One other thing I found unusual about Sarah was that she always would tell elaborate stories. At one point, Sarah did drive me past Amanda and Alan's house. She told me that the man who owned that house was dating a friend of hers while simultaneously being in an unhappy marriage. She told me that the man had a house in Tulsa and in North Carolina and that he would fly the mistress back and forth. This doesn't make a lot of sense. But then when I found out she'd been catfishing people, all of a sudden, all those things that I had let go, it didn't surprise me anymore. Sarah and I eventually went to meet the PI, Amanda and Alan, to figure out why Sarah was doing it and to figure out how she had acquired the information that she had. Sarah claimed that she was able to get a lot of her information randomly and through assumptions. It's hard to believe that, but I don't know that anybody knows how she got the information. I think now that she's caught, yes, she will stop. But I say that knowing full well that there are a lot of things about her that I've been fooled about in the past. So it's possible that I'm still being fooled.
Okay, we've been talking about what's been going on with Amanda and Alan and what they've discovered through the private investigator. When did you discover what was going on?
When the private investigator came to me.
Okay, and what was the first thing that he said to you about all of this?
The first thing he said to me about all this is that there was an investigation going on into potential identity theft. And I asked him, because I didn't have any clue, I said, my identity's been stolen? And he said, no. And he just proceeded to tell me, he asked me, do you know this person? Do you know Sarah? And I told him, yes, I do. And he said that there's been a potential catfishing case going on. It was just a bit of a, what in the world's going on type situation.
And how long have you been in a relationship with Sarah?
On and off again for about 4.5 years.
Okay. And during that time, did you have any clue that she was doing anything like this with these folks or anyone else?
No.
You didn't know she was on dating sites?
No, no, certainly not as someone else, no. And you know, there were times when we were on and off again that, you know, during the off times I would see that she had a profile of her own, a real profile, but I had no suspicion that she was doing anything as someone else.
She actually drove you by Amanda and Alan's home, correct?
Correct.
Why?
Well, at the time, she told me that one of her friends, was dating the man that lived there. And the man that lived there was seeing this woman at the same time he was getting a divorce from his wife. And he owned several different businesses. He had houses in several different places, and he would fly that woman back and forth from North Carolina to here. And she was just taking me by the house to show me, you know, her friends, I don't know what the right word to use is, but his house that was seeing her.
And why would she think you would care?
That's a good question. I mean, she had been telling me the story about her friends seeing this man, and so I guess she just wanted to put a house to the story, make it seem more real.
Did she take any pictures when she was with you?
No, not that I'm aware of.
So did she stop in front of the house or anything?
No, I was driving. She actually told me how to get there, and we drove by the house. We didn't stop. I didn't see her take any pictures if she did when we were there.
And how far was this from where you lived? How long was the drive to get there?
Probably about, depending on traffic, I think it was about 20 minutes or so. I live in the east part of town, and that was not. It's more central.
So she says, let's go. I want you to drive me by somewhere and show you something.
Yeah, I want to. Well, she told me I want to show you this person. She'd already been telling me about this person, and she just drove me by there and wanted to show me his house.
When you found out about this, she lied to you when you confronted her.
She continued to deny it basically until I told her I have proof.
And later,
you know, regardless of logic, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of the facts that are there, I've been in an on and off relationship with her for 4 years. My feelings are there.
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My mom has always been a hoarder. Oh, God. I'm stepping in animal feces.
As a child, there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep.
Yeah.
That's her perspective.
There aren't versions of the truth. There's either a sanitary room or there's not.
That's Wednesday.
So when you found out about this, and you found out that she had stolen this man's identity and was using it to engage 50 different women at a minimum, you know that now, right?
No, I didn't realize the number was that high, actually. I hadn't been told that number.
Yeah, well, we've got a graphic here that shows all of the women that she had engaged using his stolen identity.
Okay.
And you can see every one of these were people that she was engaged with, talking to as Alan, and striking up conversation, relationship with. Did you notice her spending a lot of time on the computer, the phone?
No, I mean, yeah, she spent a lot of time on the phone when we were together, you know, a little more than I liked, but at the same time, it didn't seem to be extraordinary at the time. It just seemed like she was one of those people that didn't follow typical social protocols of when you're dating someone, don't be on the phone. But
okay. And you said that she told you stories from people that she catfished as though they were her own stories.
I remember her telling some elaborate stories that I didn't quite know how she could, you know, how she knew so many people. I didn't know how she had so many interesting stories to tell.
Like wealthy people and,
yes.
all? And you didn't know how she knew those people?
I didn't know how she knew them. And I assumed, when I asked her how she knew certain people, she would always tell me she met them at work. She met them working at the diner. And I was a bit naive, maybe.
Well, as it turned out, those were people that she had had phony relationships with. Have you talked to her about this since it's all come to light?
Well, obviously, yes.
Yeah. You had to say, the hell are you thinking, woman? What are you doing? Did you have that kind of conversation?
Well, honestly, the thing that made me the most upset about all of it was not so much what was going on as the fact that how many times she lied to me about it. You know, how many times that I got such, you know, vigorously denied that anything was going on, vigorously denied that she was involved in anything, you know, and then when I started trying to call her out on it, she continued to deny it basically until basically I told her I have proof. I've heard the phone conversation that you had with the PI admitting to doing it and saying that you weren't involved with nobody else was involved type stuff.
So she lied to you when you confronted her?
The first time, the first 2 or 3 times, yes. It wasn't until I told her that I had evidence that she didn't lie about it.
So you said what bothered you the most was not what she was doing, but what?
But the fact that she had lied about it so many times to me.
Okay, so it didn't bother you so much what she was doing, but that she was lying to you.
It did bother me. Don't get me wrong. It did bother me that she was doing it.
Well, no, I get what you're saying, because that's kind of abstract. I mean, you don't really feel what's happening on something you don't see or you're not involved in. That may make you sound like you don't care, but the truth is you don't really see or feel that because that's abstract. You're not there. You don't really
Right.
That's not real to you.
Correct.
What's real to you is she's lying to you.
Yes.
Robin and I have been the victim of this kind of thing. That's not true. Absolutely not true. And later, you're spending years with somebody that is talking to 50 different people and saying, gee, I never noticed anything. And we can unravel that and just call the police instead. The holidays should be a time of hope and happiness, but for families, children, and the elderly struggling with hunger, it continues to be a time of need. Feeding America is the nation's leading domestic hunger relief organization, feeding 37 million Americans. Every dollar you donate helps provide 9 meals to men, women, and children facing hunger in our country. Visit drphil.com to find out how you can help this holiday season. Look, we've covered a lot of these catfish stories, and I can't tell you that the pain that I've seen it cause. It destroys people's lives. It disrupts their lives. It creates fear. It creates pain. Sometimes it causes people to go bankrupt. We covered a very famous case of a man named Renaya Tuiasosopo, who was caught tricking Notre Dame football star Manti Te'o into falling in love with him by posing as a fictitious woman. Y'all remember that story, right? It was all over the media. Take a look.
The story of the football player and his imaginary girlfriend just got more bizarre.
It turns out the girlfriend who Manti lost tragically to cancer never died because she never even existed.
The woman on the other end of the phone was really a man.
Renaya Tuiasosopo, the man behind the love hoax that captivated the nation, speaks out for the very first time.
I came here to own up to what I've done.
The question that everyone would want to know is why.
Truth is I hurt every day.
I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is what she was doing, using your identity with people. They fall in love. Some of them spend their life savings trying to get with that person, trying to get married, trying to do all of these things. And then when they find out it's not true, they're humiliated, heartbroken, they grieve the loss of their relationship, and you're innocently involved because it's you they fall in love with, they think, and you're sitting at home with your wife and kids and know absolutely nothing about it. This theft of identity on the internet is devastating to people. This is a cruel and vicious thing to do, and oftentimes they prey upon those who can least afford it mentally, emotionally, or financially, because they're the most vulnerable. Robin and I have been the victim of this kind of thing, where the scams that use our names and images have been used to con innocent people, and oftentimes it's been elderly people that are on fixed incomes that can ill afford to be scammed. Take a look at this. There are some scumbags using headlines about our marriage being in trouble to lure people into buying skincare products that have nothing to do with Robin or her brand. I mean, look at this. Domestic disturbance. I never meant to hurt my wife, but she wronged me, okay? Then, when you click on that nonsense, it brings you to another completely fabricated headline. So the article turns out to be nothing but an advertisement for a skin cream trial. We found out about this fake endorsement bull because a few weeks ago, viewers started writing into the show saying that they had just been bamboozled into buying these falsely endorsed products. Here's what some of them had to say.
When I saw an advertisement on Facebook, I thought, ooh, what is this? So I clicked on it, and it was saying that Robin was using this wrinkle cream. So they said it was free. All you had to do was pay for shipping.
It's only $7 or $8. And I thought I could do that. A couple days later, I looked at my account and I was charged $98.
This company had gone in, attached to my card, started charging $101 every 2 weeks. And they got me for several hundred before I realized.
It's just a scam.
You see a lot of these people are elderly people that get stuck for hundreds of dollars, and you've seen the cases that we've done on the show with elderly people that have spent as much as $2 million with someone like Sarah, scamming them into thinking that there's someone like you that they're now in love with, and they spend their whole life savings, trying to make that situation happen. And they happen all the time. They happen all the time. There's one right now. There's this one. Dr. Phil and Denzel Washington introduced new erectile dysfunction cure. Big Pharma's upset. Denzel Washington caused hysteria last week when he and Dr. Phil undraped their new erectile dysfunction cure on his show. That's not true. Absolutely not true. Denzel wasn't here. We don't have this. They just make it up. People click on it and they get scammed. She writes you this apology letter. Did you believe it?
You're putting me in a strange position here.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
She lost physical custody to a man her daughter had never met.
When my daughter was 3, I found out I was a father.
Brett has crossed state lines to meet his daughter for the first time.
I went to Florida because of you, California because of you. That's the only 2 times I've seen the ocean. Thanks.
The therapist recommended all parties stop videotaping.
You know that therapist was terminated.
The therapist didn't make those recordings, you did.
That's Monday. Then on Wednesday, she's an actress, but her real drama
My mom has always been a hoarder. Oh, God. I'm stepping in animal feces.
is off screen.
The dogs and I live in this bed.
This is unsanitary for dogs. As a child, there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep.
Yeah.
That's her perspective.
There aren't versions of the truth. There's either a sanitary room or there's not.
All new Dr. Phil. That's Wednesday.
Do you think she has stopped doing this?
I don't know.
She writes you this apology letter. Did you?
I didn't believe a word of it.
Did you believe it?
You're putting me in a strange position here, but
You're already in a strange position.
Do what?
I said you're already in a strange position.
Well, right. I agree. Thank you for reminding me.
Somebody has to.
No. I don't know what to believe anymore, to be honest with you.
And you're not the male voice on these phone calls, right? You're not involved.
No, I'm not involved in this, clearly.
Well, not clearly. I mean, nobody knows because we don't know you.
That's true.
And there's a male voice on that line. Doesn't sound like you to me.
I haven't heard the voice, to be honest with you.
And well, you will. And it doesn't sound like you at all.
Okay.
And frankly, I've been doing this a long time. You don't strike me as somebody who would be involved in this in any way whatsoever.
No.
I don't think you're involved. You don't seem to me to be of the personality type or the part that would be involved in this at all. So I don't believe that he's involved in this. I think you're a victim along with other people. I think you're naive about it, but I think you've been getting played right along with everybody else. But I want to be clear, I don't think you're a perpetrator here. And I want to make that clear. That's just my opinion. Y'all may have a different opinion.
Well, there were a couple red flags when we first started with our private investigator. One was fake profile, Facebook profile, with a fake name and everything. The other one, just we didn't know. So we told our PI, go find him first and see if your voice is that and what you knew about it. And that's what we chased, so.
Right. Well, here's the male voice that we're talking about. Sarah demonstrated her male voice on 2 occasions, one for the PI on the phone and another time when she met Amanda and Alan. So here's her male voice.
There was a 360 tour guide of the house, and I took snapshots. I don't remember. I'll let him believe that. Sorry, what did you say? No, I didn't hear you. Someone else was talking to me. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't really do it this way. This is my voice speaking as a man.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like him at all, either one of those, right?
That's correct. And I mean, we figured out early on with our private investigator that Ken didn't have anything to do with it based on helping us find Sarah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and we've got recordings, and we've got 4 or 5 hours of recordings with everything else that you and the PI spoke about. So.
Yeah. I just didn't want to leave anybody with the impression that, at least that it was my opinion that you were involved in it, because it's not.
I asked him point blank, are these conversations being recorded? He said no.
Well, they didn't record you, he did.
Agreed. I don't expect to be lied to. I don't want to be lied to.
Do you need Dr. Phil's help? Text Phil to 88500 and share your story for a chance to appear on the show. Standard message and data rates may apply.
We are taping season 17 of Dr. Phil. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping, visit drphil.com and click Be in the Audience. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Come on, I'm all by myself.
Sarah and I met on one of the websites she used to catfish women. I feel uneasy because I realize that my personality and profile fits that of someone who might be victimized by catfishing. I love Sarah and I want to be with her, but there's always been this lingering fear that maybe she's just a master con artist.
I don't expect to be lied to. I don't want to be lied to, and I don't think that it's appropriate.
So you're objecting to the fact that the PI did what?
Lied to me. I asked him point blank, are these conversations being recorded? He said no.
And they were in fact being recorded?
They were. Where we're from, it's a one-party state.
I'm sorry?
Yes, it is a one-party state.
Where we're from, it's a one-party state.
Yeah, so it's not illegal to record the conversations as long as he knows it's being recorded?
Yeah. And he was giving us daily reports on them.
And you object to that because it was misrepresented?
All I'm saying is, I came here, and I said this before, I came here for two reasons. I came here because I wanted to see her get help. Regardless of logic, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of the facts that are there, I've been in an on and off relationship with her for 4 years. My feelings are there. They are what they are. And I wanted to see her get help. And number two, I wanted to help them get the answers that they're seeking. But when I find out that I feel like that they're manipulating me to get information here, it bothers me.
Well, they didn't record you, he did.
Agreed.
And you were a suspect at the time, so, I mean, if you want to get sanctimonious about it, get sanctimonious about it. But they are victims of someone with whom you are allied, and at the time you were a suspect, and they had every legal right to record you.
Right.
And I have bent over backwards to make clear that you are not a perpetrator here.
I agree with that. I don't disagree.
These people have been violated, not by you, but by someone with whom you are allied at the time the investigation goes on.
It's still,
and they didn't lie to you. The private investigator did. They didn't tell him to go do A, B, or C. They just got the fruits of that labor.
Agreed.
And they could have done two things. They could have prosecuted her, and instead they said, we can either take her to the police and prosecute her, or we can bring her here to Dr. Phil and try and get her some help instead.
Right, and they chose
to did
help.
that.
So you're right. You're right.
And we can unravel that and just call the police instead.
Yeah. Well, don't hold this against her because of me.
Well, then don't get up on your hind legs and start barking at these people who have been jerked around.
When I find something out that surprises me, the reaction may be incorrect, but it's a reaction nonetheless. I apologize.
But I think they're being very.
Yes.
I think they're being very gracious about this whole thing, to tell you the truth. And at the time that you're spending years with somebody that is talking to 50 different people and saying, gee, I never noticed anything.
I'm not saying that I didn't know that there were suspicious things going on. I'm saying I would have never guessed that it was that.
Now, when we come back, Sarah the Catfish is here. she admits she's really good at lying. Well, we're going to look her in the eye and see if we can get to the truth here. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I'm pretty good at this. We'll be right back.
I took Alan's photo and I made a Facebook profile out of it. After the Facebook profile, I created a dating profile. I felt like it was easier to be somebody else other than myself.
Today's show is almost over, but we are hard at work on tomorrow's show and beyond. And we are always looking for great guests. Do you feel like you're at a breaking point and need my advice? If you want my help, I want to hear from you, and guess what? I'm pretty easy to find. Just log on to our website, drphil.com, and click Be on the Show. You can also text Phil to 88500, and next thing you know, one of my producers just might be calling you. We'll be right back. Know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
We're out of time for today, but here's a sneak peek at tomorrow's show.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
How many people's identity have you stolen?
A catfish exposed.
You've stolen his identity as though you were him.
Right.
Their privacy violated.
You're driving by their house, going to meet their family members. You are becoming a threat.
Will all their questions
We want to know why you're doing what you're doing and why our family.
finally be answered?
How'd you get the pictures from the inside of their house?
That's tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Sarah said she is really good at lying. Sarah comes face to face with her catfish bait. Will Sarah reveal why she targeted Alan and Amanda? And will Sarah show us how she spoke to her victim on the phone in a man's voice? You do not want to miss tomorrow. We'll see you then.